Good morning, friends. Time for the hands-free ride to work. Hands-free because in Georgia, you cannot hold your phone while you drive. So I want you to just listen as you drive into work this morning. We have 1,000 things to do. No telling what you have on your plate this morning. But as you walk in, I want to change the way you think. I want to help you change the way you think, because when you change the way you think, you change the way you decide. And when you change the way you decide, you change the way you act. And really, anytime we're looking to make ourselves better, that's what we need to do first. Change the way we think, change the way we make decisions throughout the day, and then that changes the way we act. We can't get around that process. So just a few minutes to try to help you with that as you drive into work this morning. And I want to talk to you about the difference between the word trustable and the word trustworthy. What's the difference between the word trustable and the word trustworthy? And I'm telling you, this changed the way I think about my work in the sales world. And I started out in the medical world. So I went out from the time I was at Medical College of Georgia to the time I'm in insurance. There's a big difference in a lot of the ways that those two industries operate. But I'll tell you one that is the same is that you're trying to influence people. You're trying to influence the way people make decisions. If you're in the medical world, you're trying to influence the way people make decisions about their health, the medicines that they take, or the plan of action that they go forward after you diagnose their symptoms. In the sales world, obviously, if it's a product or if it's a service that you're selling, then you're trying to influence the way people think about that. You're trying to influence their decision, and then ultimately, it influences the way they act. And so, that is definitely a similarity between the two. And to be good at bedside manner or influencing patients, and to also be good at selling products or services, or to be good at influencing students in the academic world, if we're trying to influence somebody else, we need to know the difference between trustable and trustworthy. We need to know the difference between trustable and trustworthy. Trustworthy is the term that we usually think about when we hear those words. Trustworthy means that I actually can be trusted. That means when I say I'm going to be somewhere, then I am somewhere. If I say that I'm going to do something for you, then I do that thing for you. If I say that I've researched this product, that means I've researched that product. If I say that this medicine will do what I promised that it's going to do, that means that you can trust what I say. So trustworthy is the word we usually think about when we think about either one of those terms. And we all know we want to be trustworthy. Trustworthy means you actually can be trusted. But trustable is equally important when we want to influence somebody. Trustable is equally important. And I want to show you how these two things go so much together, because if you're just trustable and not trustworthy, or you're just trustworthy and not trustable, either way it can lose our level of influence over the people that we are trying to help, trying to serve with our sales, trying to serve with our impact in the medical world or impact in the academic world. So trustable means that you seem like you can be trusted. Trustable means that you seem like you can be trusted. So that means that when somebody hears you speak, someone hears you communicate your product, someone hears you communicate a new idea in a classroom, or somebody hears you communicate to them what their next steps, what is your next wise move in treating a disease or an infection. When someone hears you communicate those next steps, that they feel like you're someone they can trust. Do you see the difference? You see the difference between trustworthy and trustable. Trustable and trustworthy. So to further clarify, what would it look like if you're trustable but not trustworthy? What would it look like if you're trustable but not trustworthy? This would be the classic definition of the greasy salesperson. That would be the person that promises you the world, that everything they say sounds beautiful. They have a silver tongue. You've heard that before. It's like the Wolf of Wall Street. Everything they say, people believe them. They feel like they can trust them. But at the end of the day, all their promises are like clouds with no rain. All their promises are empty. They don't produce any fruit. There's no truth to what they're actually saying. You can't trust them, although it seems like you can trust them. So they're trustable, but they're not trustworthy. And again, that's really obvious. That's something that we've all thought about. We do not want to be that way in any sales position. You do not want to be trustable and not trustworthy. You won't last a long time, I can promise you. However, there's a lot of people who are trustworthy, but they're not trustable. There are a lot of people who are they're trustworthy, but they're not trustable. And that's just as devastating if you're really trying to help people, when you're trying to help them make their next wise move, if you're trying to influence them. So what would it look like if you're trustworthy but not trustable? That would be someone who is going to do the right thing for their client, customer, patient, student every time. They have incredible integrity. But for whatever reason, when they start to communicate that with someone, when they start to communicate the next move to their patient or customer or their client, the client doesn't believe they can trust them. They don't communicate in a way that is confident. They don't communicate in a way that's passionate. They don't communicate in a way that's believable. And so the customer can actually trust you. However, there's something about your delivery or your communication that makes you untrustable. You know, I've seen this time and time again in the sales world. I know some people with incredible integrity. Some people who would never lead their customer astray. They would never tell them something that's incorrect about a product or a promise. However, when it comes down to close the sale, the customer just can't get there with that person because they're not sure that they actually know what they're talking about. You know, maybe the person selling is filled with integrity, but they don't have the knowledge of the product, or they don't have the knowledge of the new diagnosis or the new prescription that they're giving, or they're not completely communicating the new idea in the classroom. And so that customer, student, patient just can't latch on like they should be able to, even though that salesperson, professor, or physician, nurse is full of integrity and full of being trustworthy. So here's the thing. We don't have time to just go through all the ways we become trustable and trustworthy. But we know, just thinking about these two words today. As you drive into work, I want to be trustworthy. I want to be filled with integrity. But I also want to be trustable. I want to communicate in a way that helps people be able to believe what I'm saying. And I do not want to have one without the other. Hey, that's the hands-free drive to work. Think about this differently. You will decide differently as you lead yourself through the weeds of work today, and you will act differently because of it. I know you will.